Hey guys, I'm James. This is JP Outdoors, and we're back with the boat. And I have some bad news for you guys. So I filmed painting the bottom of this. I filmed flipping it back over, putting it on the trailer, and some work on the back. And the SD card corrupted itself. So I lost all those videos. So I really apologize for that. There's really nothing at this point that I can do other than kind of walk you guys through, tell you a little bit about what I did. The good news is when it comes to the painting, I have to fix a couple things and obviously paint the whole top side of the boat. So you're going to get to see some of that stuff, just not necessarily, painting the bottom of it. When it comes to the deconstruction of the back, there's really nothing I can do there. It's kind of already been done, but I'll take you guys back there, show you a little bit of what's been done. Again, I apologize for not being able to show you guys the whole process, but some things are just out of our control. So okay, I'll bring you that. I want to get a little bit of work here done on the back. I'm working on getting all the foam out. So let's take you back there and talk a little bit about it. So guys, obviously a lot of work's been done back here. I went back and forth on the idea of keeping the foam, keeping the pods back here, stuff like that, and ultimately I was looking at some of the foam and realized how waterlogged it was, and all that does is add dead weight to your boat. As soon as the foam becomes waterlogged, it's no longer buoyant, and it just adds tons of weight, and that wasn't what I wanted. So I decided to take the time to go ahead and pull everything out of it. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that process. I've done it a couple different ways. I'm going to try it a different way today, see if we can get some bigger chunks out to make this a little bit easier, but I've been cutting small chunks out and stuff like that up there. I want to get this piece out, get all this foam out, and then I can start working on getting the flat floor put in here. We're kind of at the point where as soon as this is out, deconstruction stops and reconstruction starts, and that's the more exciting part. That's kind of where we get to personalize the boat, make it to fit us, and things like that. So I know the big concern back here, and I'm sure I'll hear it in the comments, is that I've removed structural rigidity of the boat. Short answer is yes, I probably have. However, in a lot of bass boats like this, you won't see where there's actual ribs up on the side. They just do the flat ribs across the bottom, and then they use the front deck and the rear deck to kind of secure the sides. What I noticed when I took this boat apart is that it does have the ribs all the way up and welded onto the sides. And what that does is that actually gives you more structural rigidity. So I'm not afraid of taking this out in this boat because it's got the ribs up the side. If it didn't have those ribs there, it'd be a different story. I'd be figuring out a different way, or leaving, like I said, some areas back here to sit on, some additional foam, stuff like that. I'd be leaving that stuff. But as I took it apart and saw all the ribs inside of here, I realized that I was actually okay to pull all this stuff out, and the ribs will give me the structural rigidity that I need. So I just wanted to address that, just so you guys know, and something to look for if you guys are going to get into a boat like this. Make sure that you look for those ribs on the side if this is something that you guys want to do, if you want to gut it and open it up and make it where you can kind of set it up yourself. So all that said, let's go ahead and dig in. I want to get as much of this foam out as possible, and then we might take it to a car wash and use the pressure washer to kind of blow out the last bits of foam, like you can see here, and stuff like that. I might use a pressure washer to blow the last bits out. So let's get started.
Hey guys, Future James here. It's actually a few days later, and I realized I never filmed an outro for this. So, a couple things have happened kind of in the meantime of the video here. After I got done pulling all that foam out, I actually went ahead, loaded up the boat, and took it up to a friend of mine that does some aluminum welding. So the boat's not currently here right now. The boat is getting those ribs fixed. He's also a metal distributor, so I'm picking up some metal from him to do the flat floor in it. So I'm expecting a call either today, although it's late in the day. I think he's done for the day. So probably tomorrow that I can go ahead and pick up the boat, go ahead and bring it back here, and then get going on that flat floor. So getting excited. Again, we're kind of, finishing deconstruction and starting reconstruction, and that's a pretty exciting time when everything comes through. And this is the point where you're kind of undoing all of the mistakes and all the things you don't like about the boat, and then you get to turn it around and you get to start building it how you kind of see it in your head. So that's obviously the most exciting part for me, is just kind of being able to look at the boat and you have this picture in your head of, here's what I want it to look like, and here's what my vision is for it. And this is the point where you get to make that vision a reality. So that's kind of where reconstruction begins. So when you go into these projects, it is kind of important to have a vision inside of your head and say, ideally this is how I want it to look, or this is what I'm going for. When I bought the boat, I said, I wanted pod seating in the back. I wanted a flat floor in it. I wanted to put a mud motor on the back. I wanted to hydroturf the front deck and replace the front deck with something a little bit more sturdy. I wanted to run a light bar up front. I wanted, brand new electrical in the boat, and a few other things. And kind of, as the boat has progressed, realized that maybe doing that pods in the rear for seating was not the best idea. After pulling that foam and realizing just how much dead weight it added to the boat, realizing that isn't the best idea, and go ahead and pivot. And talking to my buddy over the weekend here, we talked a little bit about putting speakers in the boat. And this is a boat that I will go fishing with in the spring. Me and my wife will take out a little bit here and there, stuff like that. And so being able to have a decent audio system in there instead of just bringing a Bluetooth speaker along is kind of nice. And this is a boat that we take out at 3 or 3:30 in the morning some mornings, if we want to get that prime spot. And we'll pull it up along some cattails, and we sit there for a couple hours, just me and my buddy just sitting and talking, and we have a good time with it. But being able to put on some tunes and sit there and listen to them, would be pretty nice. So, we strategized, and I came up with a plan for putting some audio in there. So we're actually going to be adding that onto the project. We're going to be putting in 2 6.5-inch speakers and a amplifier system that simply just works through Bluetooth or through an auxiliary cord. So that'll get added to the boat, as well as a couple other things, here and there along the way that I've added. But being able to walk in with a plan, is the time when, right now, when everything's out, a lot of projects stall right here. I've seen a lot of boats go up for sale at this point where the guy goes, I was pulling out the deck and I was going to redeck it for a bass boat, and I just kind of got lost in the project, or I just lost steam or stuff like that. And what they did is they started ripping everything out, and they realized that the amount of work that it takes to rip everything out is the same amount of work that it takes to put everything back in. And for some people, they have all this energy, they have all this drive, and they get the boat done, and that's where the energy and the drive stops, and they go, geez, I don't know how I'm going to put it back together. That's kind of what happened with this boat. If you remember back to kind of when I talked about when it started, the guy bought it as a father-son project. They started pulling it apart and realized they were way in over their heads. And the guy took a huge loss on the boat to get rid of it, because he realized that he was never going to be able to put it together. And by having that image in your head of, here's what I want it to look like at the end, and here's kind of how I'm going to get there, and at least knowing some general steps of it, and you don't necessarily have to know how to put a floor in. You don't necessarily have to know how to do electrical. You don't necessarily have to know every single step that goes in there, but walking in with a plan of, I've got a boat that has, a real shallow V in it currently, and I want to put a flat floor in there, at least gives you the idea of, okay, now I want to look up how to do that. Or now I want to talk to, this person that I know has redone a duck boat. They might have done something similar, stuff like that. And that's why it's so important, because, at the point that you're at, you realize deconstruction stops and reconstruction begins, but also that you're only halfway there. So the amount of work that you put in to get the boat to this point is the same amount of work that you need to put in to finish it. And if you don't have that plan in place, the project's going to die. So I'm super excited to bring you guys, the reconstruction phase of this, the kind of build out to show, what it's going to look like at the end. Obviously, we've got more than just the boat to do. We need to get a blind put on it. We got hydroturf to go in. We got, kind of all those, extra pieces that I was talking about, that go along with it. Those kind of personalization pieces, all still need to come along with the boat. And, that's kind of where, you can take this template of a 1750 boat, and I can have a friend that has the exact same 1750 boat, but my boat can look entirely different than his because I did a different paint scheme and I put hydroturf in it and I built a different front deck and I've got a different motor on mine and all this kind of stuff. And where his boat might be set up great for fishing and a little bit of duck hunting, my boat might be set up great for duck hunting and maybe not ideal for fishing, but it works, right? So that's kind of the point that we're at. Again, I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. And I'm excited to hear what you guys think of it. Again, this is my personalization. This is my boat. And I'm bringing you guys along for the journey, but you might see something and go, man, I wouldn't build it that way if it was me. I would do this differently. And, I'm excited to hear some of that kind of stuff because, this is not the first boat that I built. Probably won't be the last boat that I've built. Don't tell my wife, but I'm super excited to kind of see what, if you guys would do things differently, if you guys would have, had that rib welded instead of doing that, knowing that it would have cost you $1,000 versus it cost me, $30 in 5,200. And we might find out through the season I should have gotten it welded and I'm going to be out of boat. It's possible. But again, I'm super excited to kind of, bring you guys at least my version of the ideal boat and kind of find out, what your guys' version is too, what you guys would have done differently, what you guys would have done the same and stuff like that. So, if you guys haven't, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We got a lot more videos coming on this. Again, we're video 6 on this right now and we just got it apart. So we'll probably have another 5 to 6 videos getting it put back together. And then we'll have videos going out duck hunting in it. I'm sure that we'll have videos of things that, weren't done properly that have to be redone. That kind of stuff throughout the season and little fixes here and there and stuff like that. And, this is a journey. So, this is not just a, here's where it starts, here's where we're at now, here's where it's done. And, at the point when I say it's finished, it's finished. That's the fun thing with duck boats. This stuff breaks, motors break. I've blown up a motor before. I had done my first duck boat. I did a full electrical install in it, and we went out the first day and it poured the night before and I didn't have a boat cover on my boat. And the first day of duck hunting season, I got out there and none of my electronics worked. And I had to quick hardwire stuff into the battery just so we had a front floodlight and had our navigation light so we could be legal. And we got out there, and the first night after duck hunting, I built an entirely new switch panel because my switch panel had gone bad and weatherproofed it and everything like that. And after that, it worked for the rest of the season. So we were good. But, the same way as the SD card going corrupt, at the beginning of this video, and I lost all that footage, sometimes we just can't control things. So, again, if you guys have questions, if you guys have suggestions, put them down in the comments box. I'm super excited to kind of see where you guys would take this build, and I'm super excited to keep bringing you guys these videos. So thanks so much. Have a great day.